Hey, what's going on, Mecha Army? Welcome to the Chada Mecha live stream. I am your host, Tim, the one and only Chada Mecha. What's up, everyone? It is Monday, GBWC build time. We're going to jump back onto this thing because I gave the kids in the early episode a little bit of a preview of what we're going to be working on tonight. And needless to say, I think you're going to like it. Let's put it that way. I think you're going to like it. But, hey, what do you think? Do you like it? You like that? Huh? Little V-fin hat? Little V-fin going on? Yeah? Not a true Gundam fan until you rock the V-fin. I'm telling you. But hey, if you want to get one of these, you can definitely check out www.chadamecha.com. You will find this hat and many more in the store up at the top link. You'll also find shirts and prints and all sorts of other cool stuff in there. So go load up. If you're interested in any of the tools and materials that we're going to be working with here tonight, I highly suggest that you hit the Amazon link somewhere below here on Twitch and YouTube. That side, if you're watching on Facebook, I do get a bit of a commission based off the stuff that you buy, but it doesn't increase the cost for you, and it goes to help out me, it goes to help our endeavors on the stream and everything like that moving forward. So go stock up on that stuff too. You can find all the tools and stuff like that, books for inspiration, gear for streaming if you want to get into that. Now is a perfect time with everybody being at home, especially if you're non-essential or laid off. Aside from that, if you are interested in kits or paints, tools, accessories, whatever, Mecha Decals, sheets 1 and 2, those are both in stock and shipping now. Hit up our good friends right down yonder here. USA Gundam Store, Adam and the fine folks down there will definitely have what you need. So, let's get to this, yeah? Let's get to this. William Wilm says, he's over there in the Mecha Army Facebook group. He says, we got the taste, Tim, give us more, right? Talking about what I showed him in the early episode, right? Slick Builder's over there on Twitch. He says, hey, Tim, good to see you. Thank you, man. Good to see you, buddy. Thank you for watching. And then all the usual suspects are in the YouTube. To be expected. Yeah, to be expected. All right, so kids, let's first things first, let's get rid of that, put that off to the side. Let's go camera 2 and show you what we did. Oh yeah, here we go. Excuse me. So as you can see, the little highlights around the cross, yes, this is attached. This is now glued in place ever so securely right there to that little inner shield part, right? Now, obviously, I can't glue this part down until I have everything attached and all that good stuff, and that'll come later. The main part was getting this, the cross on the this insert piece, right? Now, is it perfectly centered? No, it's not. It's about as close as I could get it when I placed it. It's about a half a millimeter off center, which honestly, can you really tell? And do I really care? No. It's good enough at this point. It's good enough. It may even be less than half a millimeter. I don't know. But it's right there. I think it looks great. The curvature of it is perfect to where I need it to be. And yeah, it just fits and everything like that. We have to clean out the super glue around it and everything like that. But aside from that, I think it looks really freaking good, man. I'm super happy with it. And I think it's going to look awesome rigged to the Jesta's, or in this case the RX's backpack with that movable arm and everything, right? I'm gonna go out on a limb, and I think this is probably gonna be the best part of this this whole thing, or at least one of the best parts. Anyways, I'm super jazzed about it. I don't know about y'all, but I'm pretty damn excited. But before we can get this all together, we need to do some other things. The first thing that we need to do is we need to create a border around this whole shield, right? Reason being is because the shield on the original RX, that's raised, right? And let me show you here real quick. Let's see if it's in here. Perfect example. Here we go. Kotoki's line art. Why not, right? So here's Kotoki's line art. Now, mind you, Kotoki didn't even have the shield on his, right? But I definitely wanted it on mine, just as kind of a nod to past RXs and stuff like that. I'm not going full on Kotoki kind of crossover with the Jesta, even though it's a freaking beautiful design, not gonna lie there. But the one thing that you see is the raised white border around the red part, right? So that's what we need to start working on here tonight, is getting that border laid. And it's going to be a little bit of a challenge, because there's a lot of angles, a lot of curves to this, different excuse me, different sized parts and things like that. So this should be interesting, to say the least. So we're going to jump into it, and we're going to start forming this white border around here, and just kind of take it from there, see what happens. All right, so we're going to put that away. Now, looking at the shield itself, we're going to get this border started down here at the bottom of the shield, and then just basically work our way up and around and all the way back down to here. Now, we're not going to create the border around the bottom part. At this point, I could change my mind on that, but as of right this second, we're not going to. We're just going to start to get it raised in the other sections here and stuff like that. And then depending on how that goes, and depending on what it looks like once it's done, then I'll make a decision and see if we pull the border onto the darker blue parts and kind of just wrap it around this this little section at the bottom. But as of right this second, the decision right now, which may change, is a no-go on the bottom. But we'll see how it looks. I don't know. I may change my mind. I may not. Right? So, Taylor, they're over there on YouTube. He says, has Tim decided on a paint scheme for this project? Yeah, man. This right there. This is going to be a true RX, like none other, right? Full on what you see there. White, blue, red, yellow. That's going to be what this looks like. I think it's going to look awesome. But that's just me. I'm optimistic, right? It may look like shit. Anyway, all right, so what I figure we'll do is I figure that 0.5 millimeter strip for this border will probably be appropriate in terms of scaling, right? We don't want too much of a raised border, but we want enough for it to be noticeable, and for it to look like it's supposed to be there, and to look like it's actually a border, right? So I think 0.5 millimeter is good. 3/4 is a bit too much. 1/4 is a bit too little. Half is that kind of Goldilocks area that we're gonna shoot for. So I'm thinking 3.2 millimeter by 0.5 millimeter is going to be our sweet spot for this, because let's see, let's get this insert off and put along the side here. And let's measure the existing border down around here. And that looks like it's just over 2 millimeters. So a 2 millimeter strip would probably not work around this as border. So we'll use 3.2, and then we'll just kind of go from there. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes. Who knows, right? Who knows? This, I think, is 1/4 millimeter. Yeah, that's 1/4 millimeter there. This feels like 0.75. And it is. Alright, so we need to find 3.2 by 0.5 millimeter. Let's see if we can find it in our pile of stuff here. Alright, so that's 0.5 mil. What's the width on this? Ooh, here we go. This is 2.5. I didn't know I had 2.5. Learn something new every day, don't you? Here we go. Let's see what this looks like here. So, if we wrap that right to the edge, and I think what we're going to end up needing to do is use solvent glue on this, because I don't think, unfortunately, that we're going to get the precision that we need using super glue. Because placement, fine placement, is going to be the key in this particular process going around this thing. So I think we're going to end up using a lot of plastic magic on this. Yeah. And then, of course, we need to worry about these inserts right here. But then after that, I think 2.5 all the way around should be pretty good. Let's just check 2 millimeters just to be on the safe side, just to do our due diligence. You know, it can't hurt anything at this point, just to see what it is, see what it looked like. You know, 0.5 mil by 2, and let's see, here we go. So 2 millimeter around these open cuts here is going to be basically perfect. It's going to be the perfect width, right? And then let's see, 2 millimeter around here. Man, you know, now I'm kind of having a little change of heart. All right, we're going 2. We're going to skip to 2.5. We're just going 2. It's just one of those things. It looks better. Hey, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? All right, so we're going to bring in our friend Plastic Magic here. If you guys are not familiar with this, this is my solvent glue of choice. I definitely have the old standby Tamiya Extra Thin. I will use this sometimes, but not all that regularly. I'll be honest with you. This stuff right here, this is the secret sauce, as I say. For those of you not familiar, the reason why I love this and the reason why I always recommend this over Tamiya Extra Thin is right down here. Low odor, super thin cement for invisible joints, bonds ABS, styrene, and plastics other glues cannot. ABS, you guys. ABS. That's the key. And then other plastics, other glues cannot. Acrylic. Yeah. This will do the trick. That's why I love this. So that's going to be what we're going to be using. Now, one quick thing I do want to show you nighttime folks. And hang on one second. So Bill has a question.
We have a question.
Hey. He says, Tim, do you plan to wrap the border on the sides? If so, 2.5 would give you the depth needed there. I do not plan to wrap it around the sides, Bill, because once this reaches thickness, it'll be a good good kind of thickness there. It'll be nice and plump around there. So no, I'm not going to increase the overall perimeter size of this. I think it's going to stay as is. We're going to blend the edges and everything with this, and overall, I think this is going to look rather nice with the 2 millimeters. Because let's see real quick what the real shield looks like, right? And we'll pull this out, and we'll just quickly snap this thing together and kind of compare notes on it, right? Now, this is basically just the GM Type C shield, because this actually, the Verka came out after the original GM Type C did. The original GM Type C was kind of the first in that line, and then what was it? Then the Space Type and all that kind of came out and everything. So here's the original Gundam Verka shield, and as you can see, that border is hefty, right? Like a cinch sack, hefty. If you guys are outside the U.S., you won't get that. That's just a commercial here in the U.S. Hefty, hefty, hefty. Just don't even worry about it. Anyway, this border looks to be about 5 millimeter thick. Yeah, dead on. 5 millimeters all the way around this, which I personally think is way, way too big. Now, a couple of the points that we're going to get rid of or add on to, obviously, we're going to have the cross on the shield. That more harkens back to the original Master Grade, the 1.5, and so on and so forth, right? Oh man, I don't remember if the Origin had that on there or not. I can't remember off the top of my head, to be honest with you. I think it did. Yeah, it did. And that's where I got the cross from. No, wait. Did it? No, I got the cross from the 1.5 that I had, like, from way, way, way back that I completely hated. Anyway, it doesn't matter. A couple of things that obviously we're going to be removing is this little window here. We're scrapping that. That's not going to be a part of this new shield, right? The inserts, obviously, we have already here, so that's kind of a nice little echo in that. And then the border, obviously, we're going to create here tonight. But two of the things that I really kind of like now that I'm looking at this, and that I maybe want to create here in some way, shape, or form, are these little guys right here. These two little raised details with that little circular thing right there in the middle. I kind of like those. And I don't know how they're going to look on a curved shield, but maybe we try it at a later date. I don't know. But that's kind of the comparison that we have with the original shield and this. I don't want to go super thick because this is a nice thin, kind of aggressive looking shield, and I want to keep it that way for the most part, right? So that's what we're gonna go with. Now, let's see. Like I said, we're gonna start down here at the bottom in one corner, and we're gonna just start working our way around. That seems the most logical step here at this point, right? Now, what we need to do first is I want to measure these little inserts here, because I want to get that kind of taken care of. That's 2 millimeter to the bevel, and that's, we're looking at 4 millimeter to the bevel. So, actually very convenient. We can just use a 4 millimeter by 0.5 millimeter strip, and we'll be in really, really good shape. And hopefully I have a 4 millimeter right here on the table, and I don't have to go digging for it, right? But that's got to be 0.75. Yeah, it is. All right. So let's see. That's 1 millimeter. What's this right here? This looks like 4 by 0.5. That's definitely 0.5. And that's definitely 4. Okay, cool. So that right there is going to be the perfect width to plate over that this bit here. Now, we have 2 angles going on here. Those look like 45-degree angles to me, but let's make sure, shall we? Let's make sure. Let's get out our little angle jigs here that Bill got for us, and let's find out if it is or not, right? Let's see. We've got our little 45-degree little angle deal here, right? And ooh, that is not 45 degrees. It's close though. It's very close. So I would think that's either 40 or 50 degrees there. Let's find out. Let's see which is which, but it's definitely not 45, that's for sure. We'll go 50 first and see. That definitely looks like what we need. Yeah. That is just like 5 degrees off, right? Cool. All right, so now we know our angle. We know our angle. So let's get to cutting this piece, and then that way we can have that ready to lay down when we go about this thing, right? So what we're gonna do is measure the length of this first, and then we'll get our lengths cut. So we measure corner to corner here, right? And we're looking at about 15 millimeters. Okay, so we've got our L block or our stop block loosened up here. Let's get our L square, measure over 15 millimeters, and then that's going to get us our length for that. Now we're going to measure over just a hair over 15, just to be on the safe side, because we can always trim that piece of plastic back a little bit, right? We can always do that. All right, let's get this squared up, and then let's get 2 pieces cut. 1, 2. There we are. All right. So now let's get our angles cut on this, right? Now, this is what Bill had suggested. We lay this guy down all the way up to the cutting blade, and then we kind of lay our normal guide over top of this, right? And we secure that down with our little securing arm. And he said this works. Now, it seems to raise that up a little bit, Bill, which I'm not a huge fan of, because that 0.5 millimeter will go right underneath of it. So what we'll have to do is just kind of hold that there, which isn't really a big deal because we can just press that up against the back edge here, and we can kind of go to town from there. Now, we need to find the angle that we need to get this at, right? So if the strip around this here is 2 millimeters and this is 4 millimeters, it would basically equate to that top part being 2 millimeters in height. So what we need to do is we need to take a 1 millimeter strip, pop that right up against the side, and then that's going to give us our 2 millimeter little miter there. Or at least it should, right? At least it should. Let's hold that right in place and let's get to cutting. And before we do anything else, let's kind of match this up here real quick. And yeah, dead on. That, my friends, looks pretty good. Yeah. We'll go with that any day of the week. And then for anything, any like overhang or anything like that, we can clean it up at a later time. So, easy peasy. All right, so we'll get the other side chopped off there, and then let's see what this looks like as an overall piece. Not bad. Not too bad. Now, I want to try something real quick, though. I want to cut another piece of this 4 millimeter, right? And I want to try it at a 45-degree angle, just to see the difference, because I could have measured incorrectly, right? I could have done that. It happens to the best of us. Yeah? So let's get that all locked in back into place. 1 millimeter right up against there. Let's go, let's go 45 right up against here. Lock that in. And let's pop that side. Pop that side. All right, let's see which looks better here. You know what, kids? I think I was wrong the first time. I think that is a 45-degree angle. Hey, good thing we checked, right? Good thing we checked. Let's go with that 45, yeah? All right, let's cut these two corners off. One there. One there. All right, so now we have two matching little inserts there, right? So we can put those off to the side. Let's get the chopper out of the way, because we're not going to need that too much during all of this, because most of this process is going to be cutting and trimming kind of by eye, right? Real quick, let's get caught up in the chat here, because I know the guys on YouTube are going crazy with this right now. Yeah. Kenneth Sims got a question.
We have a question.
He says, Tim, what's the template you're using? This little guy right here. These are little angle guides right here. And our boy Bill, Mr. Ruslam, was kind enough to send me these. And these are really, really nice, because they come in increments of 5 degrees. So it starts with a 5-degree little angle, but then it goes all the way up to 90, and you get this nice little kind of vinyl carrying case with all these, and it's actually really, really quite nice to find different angles on things, especially if it's if the piece is either like too small for the metal protractor that we use. If it's too small, those little guides are actually really, really quite nice. So, yeah, and I've got them linked in the Amazon link as well, so easy to find. Yeah. Bill says, I put another one on the corner so it stays flat. Another one on the corner. All the angle guides are the same thick. Yeah. Okay. Huh. I might have to pick your brain a little bit then, Bill, because it was kind of raised up, right next to the blade. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Let's see. Hey, Commissar Stanley. He's over there on YouTube. He says, "Hey, Tim, thanks for the help earlier today with decals. Now that I know what I'm doing, I can't wait for my order of Mecha Decals from USA Gundam Store. I know they'll look great. Thanks to everyone." Dude, thank you, man. Stanley actually posted in the Mecha Army Facebook group today a nice little thing, and he's just thanking everybody for their help and everything. But, man, you know what? That's what the Army does. You know what? We help. We take care of our own. So, yeah. Hey, Stanley, you get one of these. Hey! Been a while since we've seen that, right? Yes, sir. Alright. Greg Blair's over there on YouTube. He says, "Hey, Tim." What's going on, Greg? Good to see you. Bill says, "I will take a pic and send it to IG real quick." Okay, I got you. I probably won't need it during the stream anymore, honestly, Bill. So take your time with it. So, yeah. But hey, Bill, send me your address. Okay? Put that definitely in Instagram. Send me your address. All right. Here we go. Let's get to work, shall we? Now, another consideration that we absolutely must realize is that this surface here, this is not flat. This is a curve, right? So, yeah. See? That is curvy. So we're going to have to do a little bending when it comes to laying this down a little bit. And it looks like I haven't cleared all the nubbies from this shield yet. Not a big deal. We can do that at a later date, but this one was, I don't know, super annoying, so figured get into that before we get into anything else, right? Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to right there, and then we'll clip far enough down to have a little bit of overhang, right? Now, to form that curve, what we're going to have to do is start to bend this laterally. Now, obviously we can bend it like this, and that will bend and shape really easily, but to bend it this way is a little bit more of a tricky situation, because you kind of have to go along and just kind of pinch and bend, and you'll see that start to bend this way, right, while remaining straight that way. And you can just kind of see my technique here. I'm just pinching both sides really, really firmly and just kind of bending laterally that way, right? And that will start to form that curve that we need. Now, obviously, that's exaggerated from what we need. But the good thing is that when you start to bend this, this elongated side will start to become just a tad bit softer, right? As you stretch it. So you can kind of form it back and ease out that curve a little bit, right? And it's easier with thinner strip like this. This is only 2mm. If you were to try this with something thicker like 6.3 or something like that, you're going to have a very rough time. But thinner strip like this isn't really a huge deal. And this particular curve is still pretty exaggerated for what we need. So we're going to start to ease this back into a little bit more straight, just to get that going here, right? And then we'll check that, and that's still a little bit more than what we need. It's almost straight, but it's not. Okay. Right there, and then we can glue it down into place and really kind of get it going. So let's do that here real quick and lay down the first piece. Now I know, I was gonna start on this side, but whatever, we'll go counterclockwise. Okay, get a nice little generous layer of plastic magic down there, and then quickly, because plastic magic does evaporate on the quicker side of things and cure on the quicker side of things. Similar a little bit to Tamiya Extra Thin. They're kind of quick cure glue, right? The Extra Thin Fast, I think it's called. And then we'll just lay down a little bit on either side here, just to make sure this is seamed up properly, right? And then we can do our little slight adjustments. Okay. Not too bad. What I'm trying to do is get this as close to the edge as possible, right? That's what we're essentially aiming for right now. Let's get just a little more plastic magic right on that seam. And then we're going to run the back of our fingernail right down the length of this and just basically squeeze that strip onto the surface, right? And what that's going to do is it's going to start to press that in, and hopefully we get at least a little bit of squeeze out, but it doesn't look like we're getting much. So that's not a problem. When we come back and really kind of finish this up, when this is all cured and everything, we'll come back, and if we need to fill any gaps with super glue here on the edge, we will. Not a big deal. But good first strip. We'll clip off just the little bit of overhang. We still have a little bit left on there just to be on the safe side, right? But let's see. Ronald J. Shelton over there on YouTube's got a question, so let's load that back up. Here we go. He says, I'm using Alclad primer. The primer was gumming up at the tip of my needle. Does the primer need some more thinner, or was it too much lube on the needle? Okay, so let's see. A few people are asking some really good questions. Bill says, what needle tip are you using? Ty Furious asks, should be able to use the primer as is. Maybe the pressure is too low, or too high. Yeah. Alex Andrews says it could be the size of the needle. Ronald J. Shelton says 0.35 Iwata Eclipse PSI is at 18. Okay. Ruslam says increase PSI for primer. He says probably 26. I don't know. If it's well, he says it's gumming up on the tip, not drying. Are you getting Ronald? Are you getting like dry tip on the airbrush? Let us know, because gumming up and dry tip could be two separate things. We don't know. But if it's dry tip, it very well could be. It could be that the pressure's too high for that. Because if it's running more air across that needle tip than need be, yeah, it'll start to cure that stuff right there on the needle. So let me know what Manny says. Doesn't dry tip gum up the system as well? Not really. It's just the tip. That's what she said. Jesus. No, I'm waiting to see if it's like dry tip or if it's like gummy, like I don't know. Anyway, so waiting for Ronald here to answer back. Here we go. He says, I'm not sure if it's dry tip. I'll lower the PSI next time and let you know. Yeah, see, the thing is with all paints and primers, right? Especially with a gravity feed, and that's what I'm assuming that you're running, because most people run gravity feeds. Unlike myself, who runs a siphon feed for everything. With gravity feeds, you need less pressure than you would with a siphon. I run about 18 on siphon, and that's perfect. So if it's properly thinned, which it's alclad, so it should be ready to go right out of the gate, chances are you don't need as much as a siphon, because having pressure go through the siphon style airbrush, you need enough pressure to go through there to actually siphon up the material through the hose and into the into the airflow chamber on the airbrush, right? Where gravity feed, it's a lot less pressure needed, because it's gravity feed, it just drops down in, again, based on gravity, right? So that's kind of the thing. So whenever I kind of describe airbrushing to people, especially using gravity feed, you should start at a super low pressure and then start working up from there, right? Basically, you want the PSI to be about 2 or 3 PSI over the very, very bottom limit of where that material is coming out of the airbrush properly, right? So find your lower limit and then raise it like 2 or 3 PSI. That should be your sweet spot for it, and then see what happens with that. Chances are, might be pretty good, but that's just a guess. So, excuse me. Commissar Stanley's got a question. Let's load that up here.
We have a question.
He says, I know this may seem off topic, but on airdrop, what did you do to weather the Jesta from the corners all the way to the thruster burns? Great question. Very simple. Come here, you. I used that right there. To me, a weathering master. These little pallets here. This is actually the numbered letter D. This is actually my favorite one, and I'll tell you why. Because of this right here, oil stain. This particular color is the one that I use the most on pretty much everything. I use this on the Aussie, I use this on airdrop, and it's just awesome. You can just slather this all over the surface of your model, and it'll give great, really subtle color variations in the paint, loaded up at the corners and everything that will kind of give it some nice kind of gravitas, and it'll make the internals look like there's wear and tear on them. It'll make the surface of the armor and everything look like it's kind of seen a bit of wear as well. This one color sells the entire palette for me. These other two, obviously, the burnt blue and the burnt red, that's more for heat staining and everything. But man, that oil stain right there, that's the money color in this entire set. I would buy 4 or 5 sets just for that particular little palette alone. This is wonderful, this color right here. I'll also sometimes use the color Soot in, I forget which one of the other ones that it has. I forget which palette has that, but that's how I weathered the entire Jesta. I didn't do any weirdness with the airbrush, no pre-shading, post-shading, none of that, no chipping, nothing. It's all those, and that's it. Yeah, that's it. 100%. Let's see. Let's see. Bill says, Tim, I sent you pics of my setup with the angle guides on IG. Thank you, Bill. I appreciate that, brother. Alex Andrews says, Odd Chrome wasn't posting. I'm on Chrome right now and it's fine. Oh, okay. There you go. Brandon says, I don't know what's going on. Works sometimes, other days it won't. Everything is updated. Huh. Happens on Safari as well. Think YouTube just hates me right now. Wow. Brandon says that blue and red can give good heat effects on gun barrels. Absolutely, yeah. Manny's got a question.
We have a question.
He says, Tim, on Tamiya weathering, do you add them to the edges? Can you give an example? Yeah, like I said, the airdrop, the Jesta and everything, perfect example. Go take a look at the high-res pictures and everything. You will see that on the corners. You'll see that all over the armor. I just slathered it all over the armor, built it up in the corners and stuff like that, on the edges and all that, just for highlighting and everything. And yeah, that's, Manny, that's going to be your perfect example for that. So that's, yeah. And you can see it especially like on the helmet, because the helmet is a very light gray, even though people think it's white. It's not. It's a light gray. But you can see the edge build up and everything, and the color variations and all of that. And then especially like on the feet, right on the toes, I really dug in with a lot of different colors. What did I use? I used the oil stain. I used the soot. I used a little bit of mud on there, just on to the toes and everything, and kind of on the bottoms. And then I went back and hit it with some silver highlights, because they have silver in one of those palettes as well. But yeah, all the weathering on airdrop is nothing but those Tamiya weathering palettes. And they're in the Amazon link. I don't know if they're in stock or not, but just FYI, they're down there if you want them. Julius Dembski, Sarge, he's got a question. He's got 2 questions. 2 for the price of 1. He says, what do you use to attach the greeblies to the base plate? The greeblies to the base... Oh! To, like, the glass plate. Just super glue. Just hit him with a little super glue. He says, did you get my email about... Yes, I did. Thank you, Sarge. No, I'm good, man. I appreciate the offer, though, but I am perfectly fine. I meant to email you, but it's been crazy, obviously. But yes, thank you very much for your offer. I really appreciate that. Robert Cottrell, he's over here on YouTube. What's up, Robert? Space Draft 53, I like Tamiya Weathering Master. Applied it to my Master Grade Neo to give it snow weathering similar to its box art. Yeah, you can do that. There's a ton of different colors in there. Commissar Stanley, did you just brush it all over or carefully into predetermined areas? Dude, I slathered it all over the Jesta, especially the red parts. I was a little bit more careful on the lighter parts because it can get weird, right? Those, it was just very lightly. But over most of it, I just went to town, just kind of brushing it all on the, all over the surfaces and everything. And let me see here real quick. Let's see if we can't bring up an example here. Okay, and we'll hit up childofmecha.com. Let me bring this up and we'll go we'll go on a quick field trip, okay? Just to show you guys. All right. Here we go. All right, so screen share, and that's not the window we need. That's the one we need. There we go. All right, so here is the page on my website for the Jesta, right? And let's bring this up here. And okay, so right here is a really, really good example. You can see the buildup on the edges, especially on the front, like the chest kind of vents and covers right here in white. And you can see the buildup on the shoulder armor, just on the plate where the 67 is. You can kind of see the buildup all around there and everything, and that looks really, really nice and kind of realistic because you expect wear and tear on those edges. But then this shot shows you the really, really subtle effects that you can get, especially on that on the helmet there. And on the shoulders a little bit and everything too, how it just kind of builds up really, really gradually on the edges and then on some of the surfaces even too. And then if you look down in this picture on the chest, there's that little bracket right across that red part, and you can kind of see how that looks. That actually is the same color as the that collar and the helmet. But it's just covered a lot more in that oil stain color, right? Here's another great little example of how it can be super, super gradual. I just right along the side of the head, that just looks so good to me. How it's built up, and then it just gets real dark right at the edges, right? And I even put it right here. I even slathered it all over the rifle. And it just gave, kind of a nice little subtle effect to color variation and all that good stuff, right? Let's see if we can get some better pics of... All right, so here we go. Like in the arms, especially the one holding the rifle here, you can see it right on the hand cover. Along the edges, how that's nice and built up. You can see the color variation on the forearm and everything. And then you can also kind of see it in the upper arm there too, just right on the edges and all that good stuff. That all just kind of makes it look really, really good. Now, let's get this around to the back here. And right there at the bottom, just above the feet, you can see where the thrusters are and how it has that kind of that thruster trailing, right? That burning. Again, that's all done with the Tamiya weathering palettes. That's all just that soot color. And I just laid it on super thick right down that streak there to basically mimic the kind of thruster burns and all that. And it just looks super gradual and super nice. It just came out really, really good. But I do want to try and get... Oh, see, yeah, you can see like the plating here on the upper arm and everything like that. And then even on the inside plating on the shield, the white bits on the shield, you can kind of see the... it's almost like dirt and grime kind of built up a little bit, right? But I want to try and get some shots to show you what the feet actually look like. There's a nice shot of the side of the helmet there. That looks really nice. Kind of an even better shot of the upper body there with the shoulders and all. And there's a great shot of the chest covers and everything. Very, very subtle highlighting. Very subtle, very realistic, right? And you can see these all these pictures. You can kind of go in depth on these on the website and everything. You see, there's a great shot of the thruster trails and all that on there, and kind of even on the feet. The feet are just banged up and just kind of weathered to hell, especially right here on the back side of the foot, on the side here where that pivot point is. Here we go. Here's a shot of the... Well, I wonder if that's the best shot of the feet that we have. No, okay, so here's a decent shot a little bit here. you can see right there at the toes how it's really kind of silvery and build up with color and everything, and even the back of the feet and everything. And that's kind of on purpose because that's where the majority of of the build up. That's the majority of where it's going to be, right? So that's kind of why I laid down so much of the Tamiya weathering powder down there on that. So, but that gives you an idea of kind of what this thing looks like, and there you can kind of see the back side of the helmet and all. Nice side. And obviously, like I said, you guys can go through these pictures at your leisure and look at these on childofmecha.com and just really kind of study these photos if you want. Here's a great shot of the rifle and kind of how the effect on the decal right there on the side of the rifle. You can see kind of how it's nice and a little brown from the oil stain and everything. And you can kind of see some of the highlights around the edges on the rifle as well. So that's kind of the subtle effects that it's able to get you. Great shot of the heel. Here we go. This is what I kind of wanted to show you guys. Right up here at the tip of the toe, you can see the little silvering right there at the edges, and then right around to the bottoms on the side here and everything. And that's kind of where the most wear and tear is gonna happen on this unit. The feet are gonna take the most damage, especially walking around on Earth or in a colony or what have you. This is where the damage is gonna happen, simply because of it, knocking into the ground, every footfall, hitting things, etc. So this is kind of the look that I really, really wanted to go. And you can see the subtlety of the paint, because right up near the back of the top of the foot here, it's lighter, but then down toward the tip of the toe, it gets darker, but then it's got that silver shining through, and that's just a perfect example of how the Tamiya weathering powders can get built up, and you can achieve just really great tones. So, yeah. Anyway, enough of the field trip.
We have a question.
Whoa! We did not have a question. That just went off. Hey, jeez. So anyway, that's kind of how it shows you that stuff in action, right? So, let's see. Let's get caught up here real quick. Commissar Stanley, did you just... oh, yeah, we already read that. Do you do it after the gloss coat or on a matte coat? I actually did all that on the gloss coat. I found that it blended a lot easier on the gloss rather than the flat. So, yeah. Bill says, Tim,
we have a question.
Any chance of getting one of your shirt designs on a lacrosse jersey? I don't have access to a lacrosse jersey. Consento23, new follower. Hey, thank you and welcome to the Mecha Army. You get one of these. Hey, there we go. Yeah, I mean, I don't have access to lacrosse jerseys, Bill. But if I did, I'd hook it up. Yeah. Bill says, also patches, especially Velcro-backed ones, would be great for Mecha Army emblem. I've given some thought to those, actually. I've given some thought to those. Let's call it a work in progress, shall we? Yeah. Ty Freer says, I love PVC Mecha Army patches. Yeah, I was thinking the stitch ones, but yeah, patches would be a good sell. Yeah, like the PVC ones, like the molded ones, yeah. No, I get it. Brandon says, hell yeah, I would jump on some rubber mecha patches. The Reapers would be badass. Yeah. Jeff T says, what would... oh, here we go.
We have a question.
He says, what would you use to weather black, especially if I don't want to use silver or gray? Number one, don't paint in all black. Paint in dark gray. We've had a discussion on this, but when you view the color black in real life out in the sun and everything like that, it actually looks dark gray. So if you paint in light gray, that'll give you a better illusion of scale. So food for thought there. But how do you weather that? You can use that oil stain, and that's going to kind of dull down that dark color a little bit. It'll still give some nice subtle variations on that. And then you can use some other colors, play with some other different colors in those sets, like sand or rust or something like that. Some of the lighter ones, some of the darker ones, and just kind of play off of those. But that's what I would do. Ruslam says, rubberized would be very cool. Ty Furious, I have a few hats that you can change the Velcro patches. So PVC patches are my fave. I always swapping them out because I like variation, and having patches takes up less space than having tons of hats. Well, isn't that the truth? Yeah. Bill says, Jeff, I would paint charcoal gray, save pure black for weathering. Bingo, Bill. However, using a charcoal gray would work on pure black. True, true. Scuffles, childofmecha.com. I hear that's where they sell a lot of cool custom Gunpla gear. You're right. It is. Julie Stemsky says, airdrop was such an awesome build. Actually, all of Tim's builds are freaking awesome. Aw, thank you, Sarge. Bill says, Julius, especially the GM Spartan. Hey. Ranger Chris, hey, all. Weathering primer tonight. Just a little explainer. Chris, that's about it. Bill says a little bit of everything here. Yeah. Julie says, oh yeah, Tim needs to get back on that build. Yeah, right. Eventually. Brandon says, anyone see that guy that paints his Gundams with his fingers, and they look fucking great, surprisingly? I've seen bits and pieces. Yeah. Brandon says, yeah, Commissar, it's almost like makeup. Little makeup eyeshadow sponges work great for application. Yes, absolutely. Consento 23. Oh, snap. Ha. Nice. Ty Furious says, you mean with pastel chalk? The Tamiya is a bit different because there's a little bit of moisture in it. So it actually sticks to the surface a lot better than just a powder, just like a weathering powder or pastel chalk or something like that. The little bit of moisture in it actually grips to the surface really well. And you can top coat that with zero issues, because that is top coated with Mr. Super Clear Flat, which is a lacquer based top coat, which is very, very durable, but it went over that Tamiya like it was nothing, and the Tamiya just sat there and took it, and good to go, right? Raw dog it. Anyway. Ty Furious, the Tamiya the weathering kits Tim was talking about. Yeah, Vincent Lewis. What's up, Vince? Good to see you. He says, hey, what's good, guys? Kenneth Sims got a question. Let's load up that.
We have a question.
Hey. He says, do you top coat before weathering and after done? So twice. The first clear coat is your gloss coat to lay down your, or at least this is what I do. Mind you, this is what I do. Once I'm done painting, lay down a gloss coat. Then I do panel lines. Then I do decals. Then I do the Tamiya weathering powders. On the gloss. Yes, on the gloss. I need to say that again and again. On the gloss. Because I find it blends so much better on gloss rather than flat. Yes, the flat will grip that Tamiya weathering powder a lot better, but the gloss, it's so much smoother, and you can achieve just these super, super subtle gradations like you saw in the pictures that we showed, right? So, yeah. And then after the weathering's done, then your final top coat, your flat, and you're good to go after that. So, no. Twice, yes, but for good reason. Ty Furious says, Brandon, okay, because I saw someone do it with pastels. Yeah. And you can. You absolutely can. Hey, look at that. Consento's over here on the thing, and he's doing the thing. Let's give him another one. Yeah, there we go. Nice. All right, so Ranger Chris says the Tamiya weathering kits are technically made up of chalk pastels, so if you get a good pastel set, you will be pretty set, even for colors that the Tamiya does not have. True, but like I said, the Tamiyas do have a bit of moisture in them. My guess is it's probably a drop of alcohol or something like that, which is just a guess. It might be something completely different, so don't go and DIY this shit, because I don't want to mess you guys up. But that's my thought process. I could be completely wrong. But yeah, they do have a bit of moisture in it, and that's what helps it grip to the surface. Ranger Chris says, best to get a variety, gray tones and earth tones being the highest priority, as those will be the ones that you will go to the most often. True. Space Rat 53 says, what are some recommendations or people I can go to for weathering, like some space combat use weathering for my Sinanju Stein, and ground combat and damage weathering? Great question. And here, Space Rat.
We have a question.
There you go. A little bit late, but you get the idea. First and foremost, for weathering, I would always direct you to Wilson Alanea. Wilson's from the Philippines. Wilson PL.art on Facebook. He is an absolute master when it comes to weathering. Everything he does is so subtle and so crisp and clean. When it comes to weathering, it looks completely realistic. So that would be one guy that I would point you to. Another person that I would point you to is Gundam Taz, my boy Robbie over on Instagram. Robbie is wonderful when it comes to weathering as well. He again is a master, and I would point anyone and everyone to both of these guys. These guys are the ones that I kind of look to for weathering and stuff like that if I ever wanted to get really deep into the woods, you know. So those two guys would be my top recommendations. So yeah. Consento 23 was over there on Twitch. He says, how do I submit questions? I have much to learn. Real easy, man. Just type in big capital letters question in the chat, and then pop your question in there right after that, and then that way I can see it and kind of address it, if you will, right? Commissar Stanley says, and once it's on there, I can just top coat it flat. Exactly. Flynn Berger, Mr. Craig Flynn's over here on YouTube. He says, g'day, Tim. G'day, gang. What's up, Flynn? Commissar Stanley says, do you put down another gloss coat after decals but before the weathering powder? Sometimes. What I'll do is I'll hit some of the decals with just a little hit of gloss in the airbrush. I'll just just a little hit just to cover them up a little bit. But then I won't do a full recoat of it. No, just a little spots. Let's see. Ty Furious, Ammo by MiG has a lot of YouTube videos. It's going to feature their supplies, though. That's true as well. MiG is pretty good. Ranger Chris, for top coating, I got gloss, decal, gloss, wash, flat, pastels, flat. Man, that's a lot of work there, Chris. And honestly, you could probably... I'll be honest with you, Chris. You could probably optimize that workflow a little bit. Think about this, and I'm not telling you how to do your thing. Do what's best for you. But what I would suggest, or at least maybe try, is do your first gloss, then do your wash. Whoa, Edward Leonard. Hey, man. Edward with the $2 super chat. Thank you, Edward. He says, sharing the brokenness. LOL. I wish I could do more. No, dude, you've done enough. Stop it. But thank you, Edward. I appreciate it, buddy. Yeah, so do your first gloss coat, Chris, and then do your washes, right? Once you clean those up, you still are going to have a gloss coat underneath of there. So then lay down your decals, and then flat... pastels, and then flat again. That'll save you one complete gloss coat, at least, right? food for thought, man. Food for thought. But if you can save on material costs, why not? That way you can achieve the same thing, right? So, yeah. Consentos 23, yes, I'm all alone here on Twitch. Man, Twitch is, you're probably not alone on Twitch. Twitch is very quiet. Twitch is very quiet. And that's kind of expected. That's just kind of Twitch's deal. That's fine. That's fine. Bill says, Space Rat, I would hit up Gundam Taz and some Star Wars modelers. Yeah, George, thank you with the handle correction there. Gundam _Taz 77. Yes. Right, Mike Rinaldi is mad for weathering too. Sparion. You know, I have not delved too much into Mike Rinaldi's work. I know the name, but I haven't really kind of looked at his stuff a lot. So yeah. Charles Dodge says, if you're using pigments other than Tamiya, here's a great fixative so that the powder doesn't fly away applying your top coat. Charles, if you put in a link or something, YouTube probably killed it. So just FYI. Let's see. Bill says, Ranger, that is a bit overboard and a lot of opportunity for humidity to ruin everything. I would look to streamline a bit. Kind of agree. Yeah, I kind of agree. Scuffles, he found the Mecha Army emotes. Slick Builder's over there. I really hose my gloss over my decals to hide the film. Greek Knockos is over there on Twitch. There we go, Consento says. Nice. Let's see. William Wims, he's over there in the Mecha Army Facebook group. He says, is anybody else on Mecha Army Facebook? Hello? I don't know, man. Probably. They're quiet over there too, man. I don't know. But Superset 5, it's the quiet ones you have to watch out for. Yeah, right? Scubble says, we're here, but we have a lot of styrene dust and CA glue all over our fingers, and we don't want to dirty up our keyboards. There you go. Nice. Let's see. Brandon's got a question.
We have a question.
Brandon says, do you use true flat coat or a mix of semi-gloss and flat tim? Actually, that's a really good question because I actually use semi-gloss. But this is what I do, which is a bit different from what most people do. I use semi-gloss, but I hold it back farther than I would a normal spray coat. I will hold it back probably a good 8 inches from the model that I'm spraying, because what's going to happen is that's going to start to cure in air, and then once it hits the surface, it creates this nice, really kind of subtle flat coat with a little bit of hint of dustiness to it, and I really dig that look, and I think it worked out really quite well with the Jesta, the on air drop. So that's kind of my technique. I actually do use semi-gloss, so there you go. Ranger Chris says, true, but if you have decals laying over panel lines to get the separation effect, not sure how changing the order would solve that. Actually quite easy. If you lay down your panel washes, and that's kind of what I do, if you lay down your panel wash and first, and then you do decals over it, cut the, hey, Chris Pabs, new follower on Twitch. Okay, Pabby, you get one of these. Maybe not. There you go. Little late, but you still got one. Hey. Yeah, so just cut the decal, a little solvent on there, and that will dip right into that panel line and basically disappear. So that's what I did on the Hummingbird especially, because there were a few that had to go over panel lines and stuff like that. So yeah. Let's see. Greek Nako says, here's the link if someone can share it there. Secret weapon miniatures. Copy link location, and I'll try to type it in everywhere and get that to everybody. Hopefully it won't eat the link, especially since I'm the admin. Never know. Aw, look, Pab subscribed. Thank you, Pabby. Get another one. There you go. Nice. Pab Pab says, get Tim Partner. Just logged on for you, buddy. Thank you, bro. Patrick Robertson over there on YouTube, he says, LOL, there's 7 people watching on Twitch, and I don't know if I want to subscribe because you're at 420. Hey, nice. Chris Pab says, and I hate Twitch, LOL. Nice. Pabs, you messed up his 420 subscribers. Nice. Greek Knockus says, Tim's a long way from partner. That's very true, and I'm not super concerned with being partnered on Twitch, to be honest, because I don't think that's coming anytime soon. What's that? Try in error. Took me a few seconds, but thank you for the follow over there. You get one of these too. There we go. Nice. Superset 5, one of us. Yeah, right. Chris Pab says, subbed with Prime, you're welcome. Thank you, buddy. Bill says it showed Tim. Yeah. Alex Andrews says, attention seeking, are we, Pabs? That's what I do. I ruin things for Tim. That's Pabs. Nice. Anyway. All right. Holy shit, it's 11:26 already? What the hell, you guys? We're not getting jack squat done tonight. And honestly, we didn't get jack squat done earlier today either. I just answered questions most of the time. I think I worked maybe a total of 20 or 30 minutes on the stream this afternoon. Let's try to work a little bit more than that, especially since we only get 2 of these a week, these nighttime ones. All right, so excuse me. Let's check in with this. This looks really good. This is pretty much set in place already, and which is a beautiful thing about Plastic Magic, because it does cure pretty quickly. So actually, let's get the eyes put back on here. There we go. Bada boom, bada bing. And let's go back to getting these pieces laid down, shall we? Nice generous amount of Plastic Magic right here, because we do want to try to get a little bit of squeeze out on this. Mind you, I mean, not a ton, but a decent amount, right? Get that, try to get that right up against that other piece. Okay, we've got some decent squeeze out. But one thing that I'm noticing is that this is a little bit off. So what we're going to do is we're going to slice just a hair off of that first. Damn it, Edward! That scared the shit out of me. I'm not going to lie. And see, that looks a lot better. That's more centered over top of that. Focus. There we go. It's more that piece is more centered over the top of that insert. But thank you, Edward, for scaring the crap out of me there for $2 super chat. Appreciate that, buddy. Oh man, these guys, man, these guys. All right, we're gonna get a little bit more Plastic Magic right underneath of the pieces, and then right along the edge here too. We're gonna kind of just slather that on a little bit. And we can come back here and we'll clean all this up and make these edges all nice and even and everything after this this is all cured and all that. So having a bit of a mess on the surface and everything is not a huge deal in the slightest at this point, right? So there's that first little bit there. Now we need to come up off of this piece, and we're going to clip it right about there. Now we're going to have to square that edge up, so we're going to just pop this a little bit just a little bit off the edge there on the chopper. And let's see, how straight is this? Do we need to curve this at all? That's going to be the kind of the big question here, right? And looks like we just need to do just a slight curvature. Very, very subtle. Very, very subtle. There we go. That looks good. Okay. Just like that. Get that piece laid down. And right now, like I said, what we're doing is just we're laying down plastic. We're getting this in place. This is not supposed to be. It doesn't need to be neat and clean right now. We can fix any errors, overhangs, messes, whatever. We can do all of that after this this plastic is laid down. But getting it in place, that is kind of priority one right now. Getting this plastic on to the part, that's kind of the biggest worry. Now, obviously, you want to be as neat as possible, right? But it's not the biggest concern that we have right now. Or at least it's not the biggest concern that I have right now. There we go. We get a little squeeze out right there at the edge. That's exactly what we want to see. That's looking good. That means that the solvent is it's doing its job, right? That's kind of perfect. We'll clip off just a little bit more of that, and there we have one side built up, and you can kind of compare it to the other side. Really good. Looks really good, right? We're on a roll, right? We're on a roll. Let's see. Bill says there were a lot of great streams as he built it. I missed so much. Let's see. Sparion says, think Edward is missing the strip clubs during the lockdown. Aw, man. Nah. Ranger Chris says, Tim may need to do a tutorial stream on finishing, painting, and weathering. As between tonight and this morning's question sounds like he's gonna be needed. Yeah, I know, right? Edward's trying to get to buy his way into camera 3 view, right? Rusam says, Ranger, he did a lot of these questions when building airdrop. Someone was supposedly figuring out which show had what. Maybe ask him and go watch those streams. You know what? Kyle, Mr. Clueless Gunpla, actually sent me a kind of a summary of each stream, which I still have to publish. I just have so much damn shit on my plate. It's not even funny. Hang on one second. Woo! Howdy. That'll wake you up in the morning. Commissar Stanley.
We have a question.
I should have read it before I hit that. He says, if 2 pregnant women get into a fight, are the babies just having a mecha battle? Anyway. Edward Leonard says, nah, I'm just old and support Tim. Thanks for asking. Aw. Thank you, Edward. Appreciate that, buddy. Stanley says, you're all kings. Man, nice. Let's see. Stanley says, really great for farming ideas. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Bill says there were a lot of great streams as he built it. He says, same with Ozzy. I don't think I built Ozzy on stream. At least I don't remember if I did or not. I don't think I did. He says, though, that build didn't get the same recognition Airdrop did. Yeah, well, finishing second in the U.S. is a whole lot different than being champion of the U.S., right? So, yeah, it is what it is. Ozzy didn't have a base. Ozzy was over-weathered. He had chipping freckles, and I regret doing it that way, but it is what it is. You live and learn from your mistakes, right? Second isn't bad, you guys. Second in the U.S. isn't bad. First is better, but second isn't bad. So, but yeah, so the Ozzy was a very, very conservative build, and that was the year after I won with the Hummingbird, which was way over the top. So I went conservative the next year, and that was just, unfortunately, the wrong way to go. I know that now. Alexander says, I couldn't find any Ozzy streams. Yeah, I don't think there was. I think I started... I think, with GM Spartan, and then moved on to Airdrop, and then back onto the GM, and then miscellaneous shit, and then we started on this with the Zaku, and we finished construction on that, and then we're moving on now to the RX, which both are going to be in the same project. So, yeah. Excuse me. Ranger Chris says you learn more from your failures than your successes. That's fair. Yeah, I think that's fair. So, yep. Anyway. Alright, so let's get moving on here again on this thing, right? Let's do a time check. 11:37. Cool. We still got plenty of time. Now, the trick to basically getting around these edges and everything, around here and all these different angles and everything, is basically to eyeball what angles you need. And that's kind of what I do. Measuring takes too goddamn much time. I would rather eyeball it and go from there, right? So what I do is I line up the piece with the edge and let it sit right over top of that strip, and then I can just kind of score the piece right along that edge, and that will give me a close enough approximation to where I can then, it's either perfect or it's close enough to where we can fine tune it, right? So let's see. Alright, so that needs a bit of fine tuning. Let's try that. Ooh, I think I cut it in the wrong direction. Yeah, I did. Oh well. And keep in mind, when we're doing this, it doesn't have to be super, super perfect, right? It just has to be good enough, because we can come back here and fill any of these gaps with super glue or what have you, and man, we'll be in really good shape from there, right? So that angle looks pretty decent. I'm fairly happy with that. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut this a little longer than what we need, just right about there. And then now we've got to put a curve on this, because this is now starting to curve over the shield, right? So we're just going to kind of roll it. There we go. Just kind of roll it right around the handle of one of our small chisels here, right? And that's going to put a nice kind of curve to this thing. Now, obviously, we don't need that much of a curve, right? But we can start to kind of bend it back And then that'll give us the curve that we kind of need, right? It's not the curve you want, it's the curve we need. Just like the Dark Knight. Here we go. All right. Make sure we cut out the little bit of squeeze out from this piece, just so this strip can sit flush. There we are. And lay that down right there, and let's see if we're in good shape. That looks pretty decent to me. All right, cool. So we will get a little bit of plastic magic down. Now, as you can see, I had a little bit of primer on there, right? Plastic magic will eat right through that and down into the plastic, and we don't have to go sanding that off, wiping that off, or any of that, you know, kind of stuff. We can lay this right down, and that will pretty much be good, right? Okay. Make sure our placement is right. And then we can hit the sides once more with a little bit more of this stuff here, the good stuff. Hit that joint. That didn't come out right, did it? Apply more glue to the said plastic joints. There you go. That came out a little bit better, right? Kids, don't do drugs. There we go. Alright, so that obviously is going to be way more plastic strip than what we need there, right? And that's fine. That's actually kind of what we're shooting for at this point. Because we can come back through, trim that to exactly where we need it to be, and then just keep going from there, right? Okay. So now we're going to need to come over and I'm just kind of arbitrarily cutting an angle here. And it's pretty close. That's fairly close. Is that close or is that dead on? It's just close. Just close. But not bad for being just close, right? Not bad. So let's cut a little bit more than what we need again. Excuse me. Lay down some plastic magic on here. Let that eat away at that primer. And see how that clears that away? It just makes it so much easier to work with here. And that surface is already basically cured here, so we're gonna get a little bit more on here. Hey now, Consento 23 hosting, thank you buddy, appreciate that. Very good. Load those back up. Let's see. Facebook. Let's see who. Patrick Robertson. So they jumps. I just Let's see. William Wilms missed a few on here. It's Commissar Stanley with all the important questions, right? And then Patrick Robertson says, just jumped on. I am on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook now, and I'm on. Okay, I just jumped in. I'm on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook now. English. So do you have the volume up on all the streams at the same time? He says, no, just the Xbox, aka the TV. Twitch on the box, YouTube on the tablet, Facebook on the phone. Give him all the support till that stimulus check shows up. Yeah, Jesus. We need it, right? We need it. Oh, man. Excuse me. Let's see. Space Rat 53's got a question.
We have a question.
He says, enjoying the Master Grade Sinanju Stein, but figuring out a paint scheme. Is there... Whoa. Silk Padre. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Silk Padre. I like the name. I dig it. But he says, is there a way I can get Photoshop for free or another photo editing software that can do layers like Photoshop? Getting Photoshop for free, probably a bad idea unless you want to bootleg it, and then you're taking some risks. But yeah, like Ruslam and Ty Furious said, a program called GIMP is actually a free photo editing tool that can do layers and stuff like that. GIMP is something that a lot of people use. So yeah. So that's what I would honestly suggest as well. Yeah. Commissar Stanley says, hey Tim, when working with plastic to create details like we see here, are there any little known pitfalls, anything to watch out for new customizers? Not really. It's pretty straightforward. Plastic is plastic, right? As long as you're using the right glue, as long as you're using the right material and measuring twice, cut once, you should be in, pretty damn good shape, honestly. Working with plastic is very, very, very straightforward. It's not like working with, different species of wood or anything like that, in terms of carpentry or anything, where you have to, know which is hardwood, which is soft, or moisture content of one or anything like that. It's styrene, it's plastic. It's all going to be fairly similar in nature. As long as you're getting polystyrene, that's the stuff that we're working with, and that's what, all model kits are pretty much, mass-produced model kits, that's what they're all made out of, is, polystyrene. Yeah, I mean, it's not difficult, just, practice, I would say. Yeah. Consento23 over there on Twitch has got a question. He says, the headgear, is that a must or mainly to lessen eye strain? I was thinking if it was worth the investment. He says, I hope I did it right that time. Yeah, absolutely, man. You were good. Sorvan, thank you for holding it down over there on Twitch for us, Sorvan. He says, it's for magnification, hard to see the small stuff normally. Yeah, these are magnifying goggles. It's called an optivisor, right? And this has I think this one has a 3.5 or a 4x magnification on it, so I can get in really, really see really, really tight and small details and stuff like that, and that helps tremendously when detailing and working with super small parts like we did on the early stream. But for this particular practice, I can see if these strips are lined up with the edge all the way around, and so far we're looking pretty dang good, right? But yeah, like Sorvan said, these are for magnification. Yeah. Let's see. Edward says, LOL. Where is your fucking $4? You lost me, Edward. I'm sorry, buddy. Bill says eye protection is highly recommended. Ask Pabs. Ooh, shots fired. Yeah. Whoo. That one hurt a little bit. Pabby. We love you, Pabby. And I'm sure Bill loves you too, even though he says mean things about you. Alright, so that angle needs to be a little bit more acute. Now, one thing to catch up on Consento's question, or was it? It wasn't Consento, because he asked about the optivisors and everything. Who asked? Stanley asked about working with styrene and stuff like that. A good thing to have knowledge of when working with customizing and scratch building and all that is a decent, it doesn't have to be great, but a decent understanding of geometry, right? Because essentially that's all that scratch building and modifying and all of this that we do, that's essentially what this is. It's geometry. It's working with shapes, right? So if you have a somewhat decent, not, you don't have to be amazing at geometry, but at least, know the fundamentals of it, that will definitely help a good amount. So, if you haven't brushed up on your geometry, kids, go do it. I actually was pretty decent in geometry in school. So, I mean, not to toot my own horn, but I got it, and I just kind of understood it and everything. And that definitely translated over to what we do here. Okay. Okay, let's get this lined up. Right about there. Okay, not too bad. Let's get a little bit more plastic magic under here because I can see it lifting just a bit. Once we put that down. This stuff does cure rather quickly. It dries on the surface pretty quick. So you do... Whoop, just float it off. So you do have to be somewhat kind of Johnny on the spot when working with plastic magic a little bit. It's kind of like, to me, extra thin in that respect, but it's better. It's better. Okay. And we're making a good mess of this shield thus far, which is going to require us to do a decent amount of cleanup, but that's not a huge deal right now. Not a huge deal. Okay, let's see here. All right, so what I'm going to do next is I'm actually going to pull this off of here, and I'll tell you why I pulled that off of there in just a second. Because what I'm going to do, going around this piece, because this is just this little cutout here is just like a hair over 2 millimeters. Like, it's super dumb close. So I'm going to use 2.5, and that way I can trim back everything once it's actually fully cured. I can line that up with either the inside edge or the outside edge, and make sure that that's all aligned rather well. And then once this is cured, just come back and trim off the excess, right? But I'm only going to do it for this cutout part. Okay, that needs to be a little bit more acute. And knowing angles is a good thing to know as well. Acute, obtuse, right angles, all that. Okay. That's where we want it. That looks pretty good. Clip that. Get a little curve in this, yeah? Just like that. And let's get a little bit more plastic magic on here. Get that surface softened up a little bit more. And then get this strip in place. And get that lined up. I think I want to do it on the inside edge, and then we can have free rein to trim the outside at a bit of an easier method, right? Okay. And we'll get a little bit right around the edges of this strip. This is actually laid down a lot better than the first strip that we laid down here. So that's actually a good thing too. Okay. We on screen? Yeah, okay, cool. And when you're gluing down here, make sure you're using one finger to support this piece, or it's just going to snap right off, right? Okay. That looks really good. I'm pretty happy with that. So we'll clip off just a little bit more there. So this is looking pretty decent so far. Right up around here, obviously we'll go back and we'll trim these little overhang bits off and stuff like that, and clean this up, make this completely look nice and even and all that. Fill in any of the little gaps and all that stuff. Sand it smooth, make it one level, and just really have it super clean, right? That's kind of the idea. So let's see. Let's get caught up in this here chat. Yeah. Hey, Zero Kai Nathan. Demons. He says he's got a question.
We have a question.
Is there a cheap way to recast small detail parts without using resin, since COVID has me at home? Also, any scratch builder to follow as well. So on the second part, Gundam Yatham, Terry, he is just been in scratch building like crazy here lately. He's definitely a good one. Donnie, our boy Donnie Baxter, Art Inc. by DB over there on Instagram. Donnie is a wonderful builder who has been really going to town with scratch building here lately, especially in his stories. He doesn't post much on his actual page, but his stories are amazing. So those are two guys that I definitely enjoy seeing what they do. So those two definitely. Now, first part, cheap way to recast. What do people use? It's that Onimaru, that moldable plastic stuff that you boil and everything. You can make a cast out of that and then smash epoxy putty into that, and you can make kind of a poor man's resin cast type of thing, and that comes out decent, right? So you could do it that way. That would probably be my way to do it, right? Alexander says, just got my first PG shipped from the warehouse. Nice. Brandon says, Zero Kai, if you have silicone caulk at home, there is some YouTube videos showing how to cast with it. Might be an option, or order the Umi plastic from Tim's Amazon page. It's like the moldable stuff you put in the pot of boiling water. Yeah. Ruslan says, of course, but we show. Hey, Edward Leonard, man, come on. He says, another stripper tip. Because? Why not? Thank you, Edward. Jesus. Edward just making it rain up in here, you guys. It's crazy. But let's see. Where did we leave off? Bill says, of course, but we should all learn from his mistake by being safe. Scraps of plastic and metal can go flying easily in the hobby, and we all want to keep our eyesight. That is very true. That is very, very true. Brandon says, heat it up in water and can make molds with it. Yeah, and it's reusable. That the Umi or Onimaru or whatever it's called. I can't remember that damn name. Manny says, all right, day 1 down, 4 more to go. Manny, be safe, buddy. Charles Dodge says, silicone caulk is good for making the mold, but won't make a very good cast part. That, yeah, obviously. You'll still need something rigid. You could contact your local dentist and ask about dental stone. You can order local and support a local business. Yeah, some dentists are a little hinky on ordering supplies, though. Honestly, just use a 2-part epoxy putty, smash that in there, and you're good to go. That's what a lot of people do. Bill says, have used Onimaru for molds and to me a quick type to make parts. I think Nozaku Boy on Instagram, another great scratch builder, by the way, did it for the sleeves emblems on his GBWC entry last year. Cool. Brendan says, for small parts you can actually cast with super glue and baby powder. Won't be the best, but it works. Decent, yeah. Let's see. Mecdio, Manny says, oh boy, there it goes, tooting his own horn again. Shut up, asshole. Julia says, when I was in high school, I somehow made got a metal splinter in my eye. Doctor tried flushing it out, which didn't work. Ended up picking it out with a needle. It left a scar on my eye. So painful. Ha ha ha. Just, it's painful thinking about it. Bill says, yes, exactly. Everyone in this hobby should have eye protection and a face mask, minimal for own safety. Yeah, that's why I wear these too, because these actually help protect my eyeballs. Commissar Stanley says, Julius, that sounds absolutely horrifying. I agree. And Julius says, oh yeah, one of the more painful things I've experienced. I bet, man. I bet. Edward Leonard says, if you suck at math, just learn AutoCAD or Mastercam and it figures it out for you. Nice. Bill says, yes, it was James Nozaku Boy who did it. He showed it off on Mechanism last summer. Yeah. Commissar Stanley's got another question.
We have a question.
There it is. And he says, do you plan on having this build as part of a diorama? How do you come up with dioramas, Tim? Anyway, you find inspiration before you execute it. How do you usually plan it out? That's actually a pretty good question in terms of getting inspiration, right? And I think we'll end up, glue discipline, guys. I've seen too many people spill glue all over their desk and all over their work stuff, and you just learn your lesson by watching other people. So yeah, glue discipline, kids. Glue discipline. We'll go back to camera 1 and we'll kind of finish up the night here, just catching up with questions and stuff. So how do we come up with project ideas, diorama ideas, all that good stuff, right? It's you have different kind of inspirations, right? For this one is going to be Char and Amuro going at it. Right? We've already done the custom remixed Zaku. That's going to be Char's Zaku. Obviously, this is going to be a remixed RX Jesta thing. And this is going to be Amuro's remixed RX, right? It's basically all reimagined, remixed from the original mobile suits and stuff like that. Obviously, we made the Zaku a lot taller using the Sinanju Stein parts and stuff on it. This is obviously going to be taller as well, simply because the Jesta is a huge mobile suit. So the height comparison, I think, is going to be really quite nice to to see both of them matched up together. And where do you get the inspiration from for this? I'm going, like I said, I'm going old school with this. I'm going classic, because this is the 40th anniversary of Gunpla, where last year was the 40th anniversary of Gundam, the IP. So I wanted to do something classic this year. I changed directions kind of after I came back from Japan and seeing that, and we took a hard right, and we did something different, right? So for something like this, I take a little bit of inspiration from scenes from like Gundam Origin, scenes from the original Gundam, obviously scenes from other Gundam series that we can kind of incorporate posing and vignettes from and stuff like that. So that's kind of how I get inspiration for doing up kind of my little scenes. And I don't necessarily like to call what I'm building a diorama. It's more of a vignette, because calling this a diorama, I think, is an insult to actual people that build dioramas, who go really, really in depth with scenery and stuff like that, and setting the tone and the mood and all that. This is just, like I said, a vignette. This is a small sampling, if you will, of a moment in time. Another great thing to do is to look at what other people have done, right? And just kind of pull inspiration from that. There's a website that I really love. It's called artstation.com. And it's basically a website for professional concept artists, industry artists, video game, movie, TV artists and stuff, and they throw up their artwork, and it's amazing. A lot of freelancers and stuff like that on there that throw up their projects and stuff, and I get a ton of inspiration just kind of trolling the galleries in there, and it's just absolutely stunning every time I look in on that that website. And then obviously a lot of books too. I have the luxury of having a ton of kind of mech styled art books, right? Which they're in the Amazon link if you're interested in those. But I thumb through those books a lot. The Nothing But Mech books, excuse me, the Dreaming in Mech book that I just got recently, just a bunch of them. The Border Break books are awesome for details and things like that. And even the movie books like Elysium and Chappie, the video game books like Titanfall. There's two books from Titanfall, and I love those books. Anthem, even though it was a shit game from what I heard, the artwork is amazing in that book. So you can draw a lot of inspiration from all of those different places, and that's kind of just how you start to formulate in your head what you want the thing to look like, right? And what I do is I get a picture in my head of what I want it to look like. I don't draw it out or do anything fancy like that, and I just kind of work towards that idea, right? So it's kind of my process. Everybody's different, right? Some people draw it out. Some people will do full schematics and everything, and measure things and all that jazz. And I just kind of play loose and fast with it, and just kind of come up with something, basically just in my own terms. So that's how I do it. Chris Pab says, my man Donnie scratch building details for his 100 Tyrann. Yeah, it's awesome. let's see. Let's see. Sam L. Edward wants Tim to take his shirt off. Wow. Not going to happen. Patrick Robertson, green stuff and blue stuff are good things to make molds and cast. Blue is the stuff you make molds from and can reuse it. Yeah. Alex Andrews says Tim forgot to change his camera from 1 to 2, and somebody had to. Was it Edward? I don't think it was. I don't know if it was Edward or not. Had to pay for Tim to notice the chat telling him so. Yeah, my bad. Malambo's over there on YouTube. He says, should I wait until paint is completely dry to sand it? Absolutely yes. And that was a question. And sorry, Malambo, here you go. 100% yes. Absolutely. Always, always, always wait for your paint to fully cure. Not just dry, fully cure. He says, I made a boo-boo on my kit, and I'm going to have to repaint a piece. LOL using spray cans, by the way. If you're using spray cans, chances are it's either acrylic or a lacquer base, so somebody already beat me to it. Good job, Brandon. Yeah, you could strip it with alcohol, usually like a 91% isopropyl alcohol, but Malumbo says only 46%, so yeah, maybe sanding is the best way to go at this point. But yeah, definitely wait until it's completely cured, definitely, or else it's just going to be a gummy mess. So, yeah. Edward Leonard says, no, Sam. Nice. Let's see. Brandon, and following up with Malambo, he says, do you have isopropyl alcohol? If so, you can just soak it and strip the paint. Yeah. Alexander says, Tim needs a disciplined shirt for everything in this hobby. Dude, hey, if you have discipline in this hobby, you never have to worry about accidents, for the most part. Chris Pab says, plastic cement is a solvent glue. Yeah. Fiddy always says, I do not think it is a solvent, Pabby. No, it is. This Plastic Magic is absolutely a solvent glue. Yeah, 100%. Alex Andrews got a question.
We have a question.
He says, Tim, are you going to make a GBWC 2020 playlist like you have with the Just a Airdrop? Yes, I will. I need to do that soon-ish. Yeah. Let's see. Foodie always says that might be your blood, so buy Mecha Decals. Nice. Kenneth Sim says, ArtStation? Heard it's costly. No, you can browse for free. Yeah, and Foodie always says you can browse for free. Absolutely, yeah. You can see everything on there for free. Mind you, a lot of the artists sell products on there, like assets for 3D modeling, prints, and stuff like that on there, but to view the artwork is free. Absolutely free. Yeah. Whoa! Charles Dodge. Thank you, Charles. $5 super chat. Says, support Tim's new job, Tim's side hustle. Hey, there we go. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. Here, you get one of these, Charles. Boom. There we go. But yeah, you can absolutely browse ArtStation for free. Let's see. Commissar Stanley, another question here.
We have a question.
I love Stanley's got questions. This is good. He says, in airdrop, how did you affix the strings to the Justa and the parachute? How was that rigged up and transported? That's a great question. The rigging was attached to the parachutes, and I basically held that down with super glue. And what I had to do was take each line and just kind of wipe super glue over top of the rigging and everything over top of the parachute, just with my bare fingers too, because a glove just would not work and it started to tear and be a mess. So I actually had to do it with my bare finger. I didn't have fingerprints at the end of that ordeal. It was kind of nasty. But yeah, just press them in to the little groove on the parachute and everything, and then brought those all down into a styrene tube, filled that with super glue so that's all nice and neat, and then rigged that to a couple pieces that I scratch built around magnets, and the airdrop had a couple magnets in its shoulders and one on the backpack, and the parachutes again had magnets there, so they just magnetized together, and that holds the whole thing midair. So yeah. In terms of transportation, it all breaks down into a nice Pelican, and it's all held. The base is all held together with 1/4" 20 bolts and threaded inserts, and it works really well, and it's completely solid. If you guys have ever, some of you have seen it in real life, but yeah, it's 100% solid. So yep. And Bill says, yeah, attached with rare earth magnets, neodymium magnets to be precise, but yeah, yep. Julie Sampson says, good luck finding any 91% isopropyl alcohol these days. That's very true. But this is the thing, you guys. This is the thing. Alcohol is one of those products that are essential on Amazon. So, the little link, the stuff that I have in the Amazon link below, I do have a listing for 91% isopropyl alcohol, case of 6. If you sign up for notifications on that, when it comes in, be Johnny on the spot, buy it up. Buy it up. I did that when all this first started, and I bought 3 cases of it. I have 18 bottles of isopropyl alcohol right now that I can kind of depend on at this point. So yeah, and I reuse that stuff. I will strip paint or clean my paint bottles and everything, and then let that all the particles settle. Pour that back into the original bottle and reuse it time after time. So think about that. Brandon says, Julius, Czech hydroponic gardening stores can buy gallon jugs of 99% ISO for $25 to $35. Not bad. It's not bad at all. Chris Pab says, I know what I'm talking about sometimes. There you go. Foodie Boy always says, I was referring to the sticky stuff all over someone's desk. That comment. Wow, I missed it. Consento23 over there on Twitch has got a question.
We have a question.
There we go. No need to reveal your secrets, but how would a normal person make white, water slide decals such as lettering? I can't find anything online. Oh, oops, forgot to. It's not a problem as long as the question's there. Don't worry about it, Consento. Where it's not. We're not hardcore, grammar police like that. But to answer your question, it's harder than you think because there's no consumer-based, at least anymore, that's easy to find. There's no consumer-based printers that can print white, much less print white and then intake that sheet back in, keep it at registration, and then print decals over that to make that, fully opaque, Ranger Chris says, if you have an HP laser printer, there are white toner cartridges out there now. Check Micromark. Yeah, and they want an arm and a leg for them. Do not check Micromark. They want like $200 or something crazy like that for a white toner cartridge. That is highway robbery. But I'll get to that here in a minute. But anyway, the main problem that you run into, and if you just want to print white, that's a completely different story. Like Ranger Chris said, there is white laser printer cartridges out there, right? But don't get them off Micromark because they just gouge the price on those things like crazy. Look up white toner cartridge for laser printers, and you'll find probably a bunch of them. They are a little bit more expensive, but not like Micromark expensive, right? Excuse me. So if you just want white decals, kind of look in that aspect of things. There are people out there that make custom-made decals and stuff like that, but then again, you're gonna pay for that service. If you are trying to print like full-on custom decals, that's next to impossible without a very, very high dollar printer. The reason being, and trust me, I have experience in this, is because essentially what you're going to need is a 5-color printer. So you want C, M, Y, K, and white. C is in cyan, M is in magenta, Y is in yellow, K is in black. Those are the 4 colors when when prints are made. Those are the 4 colors that make up the entire color spectrum that we're able to see on prints. The white, that's the 5th one. That's the one that you underlay on those colors so it's not transparent. Ink is transparent, but it doesn't look like it's transparent because it's always printed on white paper, right? If you're printing on clear paper, you're going to see its transparency and you're going to see the color differences and everything like that. So if you have a 5-color printer, which are rare and expensive, then you could be able to do it, because the main thing is keeping that sheet in perfect registration. If it's even off just a little, you're going to see that white halo around it, and it's going to look like a mess. And it's not a good look on decals. Let's put it that way. It's just not. But if you're just wanting to print white, you can buy a white toner cartridge from someplace, pop it in a laser printer, and then you can print out purely white decals to your heart's content. But if you want full color decals, you're definitely going to have to go the custom route and pay someone to do that with a high dollar printer. Just saying. Ranger Chris, we read Ranger Chris. Rusam says most places is illegal to produce alcohol so long as you do not try to sell it. But check to see, be sure with your local ordinances. Okay, I missed something. I'm sorry, Bill. Ranger Chris, that's what the manufacturer said is MSRP. Still obscene, but it is an option. Then they're getting. Trust me, Mark Remark gets their shit and definitely jacks the prices up in a lot of things. But if that's the true MSRP, then they got screwed. Fudabe always says CMYK are like the printers we have at work. Yeah, most and all printers are CMYK if you actually look at it. Even consumer-based printers are all CMYK. Alexander says, good night all. Catch you for the stream later. Good night, Alex. Ranger Chris says, also, if you try to print your own decals, don't go with something using Epson ink, as I tried and wasted a number of decal sheets trying to get it to print. Yeah. I think Epson does something with their ink such that it will only work with their paper on your basic printer. That sucks. Rusam says, I heard you can send in black toner cartridges to refill places and they will fill it with white. Interesting. I don't know. Consenter 23 says, thanks for the info. You are welcome, buddy. Commissar Stanley's got a question.
We have a question.
He says, this is probably common knowledge, but are there requirements to enter GBWC, like no high grades or painting requirements? Actually, you can enter high grades, you can enter SDs, you can enter pretty much anything that's Bandai, that's Gunpla related. Bandai plastic. The majority of the model does have to be Bandai, true Bandai, plastic, no bootlegs. That is completely against the rules and it'll get you disqualified. No resin conversion kits. That will also get you disqualified. No 3D printed parts. That will also get you disqualified. Or at least it won't get whatever that part is judged, which could be a significant part of your particular entry. So I would just shy away from 3D printed parts altogether. You can scratch build, you can modify, you can use third-party parts like Wave and Kotobukiya and stuff like that. That's all perfectly fine. You can scratch build a part and then duplicate that in resin. That's perfectly fine because you mastered it. That's all legal. Otherwise, there's only the size requirement, which is internationally, and I think now here in the U.S., 50 centimeters tall, 50 centimeter wide, 50 centimeter deep. That's the sizing limitations. Anything over that, disqualified. Yeah, I think those are the big ones at this point. You can use metal parts. Actually, you cannot tread on original IPs outside of Gundam. So if you try to make something, I know one person made like an Aliens-inspired build, with like the mother alien, and they made like that kind of cargo walker thing that Sigourney Weaver piloted at the end of Aliens. Somebody made that and entered that in GBWC. That's IP infringement. That gets disqualified very quickly. But I think now that just off the top of my head, I think those are the big ones. Yeah, I would say Google the rules, and I'm sure you'll be able to find out exactly. You will see the list and everything. I don't know if Bluefin still has it posted up on their website or not, but I would do a search at very least. Yeah. Space Rat's got a question.
We have a question.
Hey now. He says, what sort of printers can you make your own decals with? Also, is the Tester's waterslide decal set any good? Space Rat, to the second part of your question, no, it's absolute trash. Don't waste your money. Because they will only print... if it's using your printer at home, it will be completely transparent. That you will see... if you try to lay that over two different color panels, you'll see the color difference between those. If you try to lay it over a dark color, that decal will become dark. You have to lay it over like white or light or something like that. So yeah, don't waste your money. What sort of printers can you make your own water slide decals with? Very good question. Back in the day, there was a company called Alps, A-L-P-S. They are no longer around, but some of their printers are. I actually have an Alps MD1300 in my closet just sitting over there yonder. Reason why I don't use it? Number one, it requires Windows XP to run. Number two, the ink is incredibly hard to find and incredibly expensive nowadays, so it's not even worth it. So at that point, guys, don't even worry about trying to print your own decals at this point. There are no affordable consumer-styled solutions. The best thing I can tell you is that they make some high-priced printers, like $20,000 printers that print the 5 colors and keep the decals in registration. There are people out there that actually own those and will do custom-made decals for you. Search those folks out in your respective countries and stuff like that. There's a guy up in Canada. Let's see if I can find the link, and I will post it for you guys here real quick in the chat. There's a guy in Canada who does absolutely phenomenal custom work, right? Let's see if I can find it. Here it is. He actually does own one of these very, very, very expensive 5-color printers, and he does a ton of work for model railroaders and stuff like that, right? And here I'm pasting in the link to all of the social medias and stuff right now. But I do know people that have bought decals from him, and he has sent me images of quality for printouts and stuff, and they are 100% legit. Like, really, really high quality stuff, right? Did that even come through? I don't even know if it did. Yeah. Okay, well. Okay, Sorvan got the link. I don't think that it posted on YouTube, so I just actually manually posted that over there. So we're good, right? We're good there. Anywho, but yeah, Bill Billinger, I think is his name. I forget, but yeah, he does really great printouts. Really, really great. So 100% reliable, right? Prices are a little expensive, but for full-on custom work, it's to be expected, right? At that quality too. So Let's see. Bill has a question.
We have a question.
Bill says, I hear they will announce GBWC news soon. Any idea what is coming? At this point, no. There has been zero word out of Japan. I think Japan is kind of sitting on their hands, at least at this point, until the end of this month to try and figure something out and kind of see which way this thing goes. So, unfortunately, I do not have any inside information about what may be going on. I wish I did. That would help me either continue on with this thing or take a pause and focus on other things, right? Right now, I'm still focusing on this. So if that's any indication. And again, I do not know anything other than I'm going to continue to focus on this until I don't have to. At least for this year. So, I guess we'll find out all together, right? Let's see. Ranger Chris says, I think there will be options in Windows to work in an XP environment, if I recall. Yeah, the price on the ink is still just dummy high. Just dummy high. Sam L. Ranger, there is, but it isn't reliable and doesn't work great for drivers, which I'm assuming is the issue. Yeah, they only have Windows XP drivers, and again, they're hard to find, and it's just it's just not good. It's not a good situation. And plus, the other thing with the MD-1300 is the resolution isn't all that great. So there's that too. Bill says the cost of ink is prohibitive. The Windows XP or 98 is a very minor issue. Yeah, exactly. Sparion says, I think he takes orders from Facebook. Who does? I don't know. Somebody. I'm not sure. Brandon says, later everyone, gotta catch some Z's. Brandon, good night, buddy. Thank you for watching. Alright, kids. It is 12:32. At least that's what my clock says. And we're about the end of this thing. Let's get that guy. Ooh, God, that's not. There we go. That's a much better height. Yeah. All right, so you guys, if you want to rock the V-fin, these are available in gray and also navy. Either one looks good. Go get you one. www.chowdermecha.com. Hit the store button up at the top. You will find this hat, many more shirts, and prints of my models and all sorts of other cool stuff on there. Go load up. And then also, if you are interested in any of the tools and materials that we worked with here tonight, like the plastic magic, I highly, highly, highly recommend. Or the little angle finders that Bill was nice enough to send. Hit the Amazon link just below here on Twitch and YouTube. That side, if you're watching on Facebook, I do get a bit of a commission based off the stuff that you buy, but it does not increase the cost for you, but it does go to help me out, go to help out the stream and all of our endeavors moving forward, right? If you are interested in kits or paints or tools or accessories or what have you, or Mecha Decal Sheets 1 and 2, those are both in stock and shipping now. Hit up our good friends. This side, over here, USA Gundam Store. Adam and the fine crew down there will definitely have what you need. So, you guys, I will be back here tomorrow afternoon to continue building on the Team SD, on the Unicorn. We're making some progress on that. And then we'll be back here on the late night stream on Wednesday night after the early episode that day as well. Now, this Friday is Mechanism. And if you guys watched last Friday's Mechanism, we were supposed to do DMC. We were supposed to do Deep Meaningful Conversation. But that got sidetracked as usual, right? So this week is going to be nothing but DMC. We're not going to go through the whole thing. Hey, what are you building? Blah, blah, blah. We're just going to introduce people and we're going to get right to it. And we're going to knock out questions, deep, meaningful, conversational questions the entire time. So if you're interested in that, come on by this Friday. Hopefully we will not get sidetracked. Ranger Chris, there will not be any sweet tea. I promise you, there will not be any sweet tea or blueberry lemonade or anything like that. Just a little soda, no rum or anything like that in it either. Sober Tim, that will be the theme of the show, right? Commissar Stanley says, will you be answering last week's questions? Yes, I have those saved. Everybody else has those saved as well. Definitely. Bill says Friday was the B and Text show. Tell me about it, right? Praise be. Thank you, Patrick Robertson. Praise be. Damn right. Zero Kai says, yeah, B took over. Yeah, she was in rare form, man. If you guys didn't see it, go back and watch, man, because it's a hoot. Oh, man. Yeah, and Bill says, with audio provided by Frankie. Oh, my, yeah. It was a fun show. It was a fun show. I know a lot of the guys, especially Chris and Brian, they were a little kind of perturbed that we didn't get to the DMC, but you'll see why we're going full DMC. It's DMC-ism this Friday. So come on back on Friday for that, and it'll be fun. It'll be fun. Amen, B. Damn right. You damn right, William. Amen, B. Praise be. Praise be. Commissar Stanley is it a wee-wee? Yeah. Ranger Chris says, yeah, last week got funky. Dude, it really, really did. Commissar Stanley's, man, that show was awesome. I love that stream. It's fun. You know, and especially right now, like, I think we all need it right now, right? Like, being cooped up in our houses and just kind of being kind of shitty, depressed, borderline, and not being able to go out and everything and hang out with friends and everything. I think that's the show that kind of everybody just needs to kind of unwind at the end of the week and just blow off steam and just have fun and kick back and just go crazy, right? So that's why we're doing it every week now instead of a bi-weekly thing. I think once all this stuff is passed, we'll probably go back to bi-weekly, but it's fun regardless. Anyway. All right, boys and girls. So, I will see you tomorrow. If I don't see you tomorrow, I'll see you back here on Wednesday or what have you. And we'll kind of go from there. We'll continue working on stuff, right? So, with that being said, stay safe out there, guys. Wash your hands. And just build something cool. All right? So, until next time, I will see you guys tomorrow. Be safe. See you guys.